2023 had some amazing Yu-Gi-Oh products, but at the same time it had a few flops as well. Some sets were really transformative and impacted the meta highly, and others just didn't pull it off. In this video we're going to be ranking every single Yu-Gi-Oh product released in 2023. But before that, we have an end of year 15,000 subscriber special giveaway to you. You know, the Rarity Collection released a lot of staples off my shelf, so naturally, I'm gonna give them back to you. One of you guys is gonna win this. All you have to do is like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and comment down below what is your favorite set of 2023. One of you will get all of these amazingly wonderful staples right to your doorstep. So yeah, this is gonna be the 2023 Yu-Gi-Oh product tier list. Every product released this year is here, including accessories, OTSs, some other stuff that are not cards, and of course core booster packs, structure decks. Everything that was released in the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG is on here. Before we begin, again, like the video, subscribe to participate in the giveaway, comment below what's your favorite set of 2023, and you might win all of these amazing staples. And now, let's talk about a few things before we begin. What are we judging these sets based on? So there's a lot of different things here, right? Core booster packs, expansion sets, deck building sets, accessory packs, structure decks. They cannot be judged by the same standards, but we're gonna try. The 4 criterias are gonna be the set contents on release, what's actually in the set and how good it was on release. Competitive success, whether short-term or long-term, that's also of course something we have to judge it on. Some sets were released and didn't see some success, but then got support and were improved later, so we're gonna have to give some points for that as well. The sealed value, I don't really care that much about the sealed value. I don't think it really makes a product good or bad, but it's something we have to consider because paying money for a product and opening it should have some value. If you're paying $60 for that product, it should be worth that amount of money. And then lastly, community opinion. This is basically mostly to deduct points off products. If a community opinion on a product was negative, it needs to be taken some points off of the product. And with that, I think we are ready to begin. So first of all, I think we're gonna start off with the 2021 Dueling Hero tins. This was a pretty recent release. I think September it was released. And I think it was really divisive in the community. So on one hand, there were a lot of really good cards reprinted here, right? We had Bestials, we had Kastira, we had Labyrinth, we had Runic, we had Scareclaw and Visa Starfrost. There were a lot of really good competitive archetypes released because those 2 years, the past 2 years were really good. However, the value of the set, and I think the public opinion in general, kind of hurts this product. So buying a case of these would be good to make sure you have a lot of new staples like Fenrir, Bestials, Runic cards, stuff like that. But also on the other hand, this is now selling at like 10 bucks a tin, which I think the MSRP is like almost 20 or 15. So there is a big loss of value there. I'm gonna say that regardless, it also has promos that are really good. I think it's good. It definitely is not godly. In terms of a product, you can't deny that a product like this that has so many good cards and staples have to be just good. And another good set, straight into it, Age of Overlord. Age of Overlord is a godly set. Released one of the latest sets released in the TCG, introducing a lot of supports for existing decks, but also really powerful cards, mainly SP Little Knight, obviously Typhon, just really strong cards that really boosted the strategy. The Bellstar that makes Rescue A such a good deck now. Godly, I don't think anybody has anything to say beyond just being an extremely good set and super high value, good community opinion, on release success, just checks everything. And then we have Amazing Defenders. So Amazing Defenders is actually funny because it is a deck building set. This was the first set released in 2023. The set has Mekanko, Pearly, and Rescue Ace. All of them without their future support that actually made them good, but this set holds 3 archetypes that are all YCS winners and top tier meta decks. That definitely can't be ignored. However, I think the value of the set on release, none of these decks were really playable. I think Pearly was seeing some success. Rescue Ace was super under the radar because nobody knew it's going to get support. Hydrant was like $7. And Mechanco was, I think, the most hyped one. Overall, I think in terms of longevity, obviously these archetypes are good. But is this set, as a set, good? I think I might deduct a few points here. Just because on release, it took this set about 10 months to start seeing play with the cards in it. So you have to consider that it is almost godly, but it definitely is only good, probably. Now, Battles of Legend Monstrous Revenge introduced, if I'm not mistaken, the first quarter-century secret rares in the TCG. This set also was notable for a few releases of some good cards. The Adventurer Engine was released here. Assault Synchron was released here. We had the Bestial Lubellion as a Starlight. We had an artwork, alternate artwork for Engage. We had some nice cards here. However, I think with these battle sets, there are usually like 2 cards that like shine above everything else. This was Assault Synchron, it was Azalea, stuff like those were like the good cards in the set. But the rest was just like mostly crappy imports. What makes it a bit better is the quarter-century secret rares that allowed us to first of all get like Super Polymerization, Lubellion, Rite of Aramasir, Engage. You know, those kind of cards made it a little bit better, but I think it's borderline bad, but I think it's only decent. Cyberstorm Axis was kind of a defining set. This was the set released on National Season, one of the first sets released with the 25th anniversary logo on the pack. So this set is mainly known for a few archetypes. One of them is Super Heavy Samurai that took National Season by storm and immediately got hit on the ban list of the main Link 1 of the deck, got obliterated, and Cyberstein also paying for the sins of this deck. We had Bestial Dispatter, we had the Manadium cards released, we had Quem, which now you might be, wondering why you didn't pick it up back then. Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, we had Gold Pride here. A lot of really, really good cards that on release kind of like defined the meta back then. Chaos Angel is in this set too. I think this started the end of the year surge towards extremely powerful core sets, one after the other, releasing pretty incredible cards. I think Cyberstorm Axis, the fact that it had such an amazing competitive success and very good value as well, makes it undoubtedly something that has to be godly. I think this set is probably like low godly or like really high good. We're gonna adjust this. Leave a comment right now. What do you think about Cyberstorm Axis? I think it's borderline godly. The cards that were in this set are amazing. So the accessory packs, we're not going to be able to judge them as equally, but just like, just the accessory pack, what do you think about it? I think I'm not a huge fan of Dark Magician Girl. I think this will be only decent. It also has pretty much the same artwork on the sleeves, on the binder, on the deck box. It's basically like sort of like a copy paste. Not a huge fan. Decent is good. Duelist Nexus, another set that was released relatively recently. So this set might not strike you as such a good set to begin with, right? This one was the first core set with quarter-century secret rares. This set introduced a few notable archetypes. One of them was Chimera, which at the beginning of the season, right after release, saw a lot of success. People were topping regionals with it. Some regionals with like 8 in the top 8. It was actually incredible. But we got some more cards here. Crimson Dragon, which is a very essential piece to the Manadium combo. And of course, we got some more Manadium support here. We have the Unchained support that basically almost made the deck tier 0. The deck is still in control of the meta. I think one of the top 3 strongest decks in the meta currently. And of course, Infernobles, which have been seeing a lot of success. It took them a little bit of time to kind of like enter the meta, but besides that, these archetypes are just really, really powerful. And lastly, let's not forget, we got some runic support here, but also most importantly, the E Purely Noir that made Pearly a really, really strong contender, right? We had Sleepy, but then we got the Baby Noir, which basically ascended the deck to tier 1. I think overall, it is a good set. It is probably a little bit higher than the Tins, sorry, but maybe not as high as Amazing Defenders. I think maybe it's a little bit better than Amazing Defenders. Again, those end of the year core sets were really something. Gold Pride accessory pack. Some of them were in the thumbnail. Really cool sleeves, really cool playmat, really cool binder, and like such a variety of graphics on those accessories. Godly, regardless. The Legendary Collection. I'm gonna go with both of the old pack releases. So we had the Legendary Collection reprint, which had the God cards as Quarter Century as well as promos, Dark Magician, Red Eyes, and Blue Eyes, and then you had one pack of each reprint pack. I think it was Blue Eyes, MRD, MRL, Pharaoh's Servant. You had maybe Dark Crisis, something like that. I don't really remember the exact packs. And then you had the actual release of the boxes. You had the sealed boxes of like the Legend of Blue Eyes, for example, that you can pick up a sealed box, which is reprinted with the EN prefix before the set. I think this Legendary Collection was just bad. It was just a reprint. I think people were also not happy about the card prints and how they look. Like the look of the new cards on the old cards didn't really translate well. And I think this was decent as a collectible item. It had nothing in terms of like value, maybe just like sentimental, no competitive value. And also they didn't really print the good sets that should have been reprinted. I think Dark Crisis maybe was one of them, but I think people really wanted Pharaonic Guardian for things like Trap Duster, for example, like very expensive card, and they just didn't print it. I think that's annoying. So I'm gonna put both of them as bad because this is the punishment you get. Just printing low value sets that nobody really care about, and you also had the opportunity to make them a little bit better, but you didn't. And speaking about bad sets, I think this is the most garbage of this entire year, and I think this is a message to Konami, and I think you guys can also sympathize in the comments below. Stop making Legendary Duelist sets. We are not in a point where we can have sets that have such low value. Barely any playable cards. I think Salamangreat of Fire and the new Link 4. Weasel. Like, Salad got some nice support here, but like, these packs don't have a guaranteed holo. Stores were having a really hard time getting rid of these sets. Just stop. People don't like Legendary Duelists. It's outdated, it's a bad concept, and hopefully, now that it's Legendary Duelist 10, we'll stop with these shenanigans. Now, Maze of Memories. Let us refresh our mind on what was in this set. So first of all, of course, Baron de Fleur. We had a few notable other reprints with Guardian Chimera. We had Assault Synchro Stardust Dragon, which is definitely a meta-defined card right before Super Heavy. It worked really well there. It had the Gate Guardian support. It had some nice collectors with Solemn Judgment. It had Neo Tempest Terahertz. Mostly, that's sort of like it. It obviously had the Gate Guardian support. It had Ready Set Duel, stuff like that, but none of them were really impactful. The cards in the set that were actually good was Terahertz, that is now seeing some play, Ass Dragon, and Baron and Chimera that needed a reprint. I think this set is bad. I think, again, this is also not a deck building set like Amazing Defenders, even though it has the same structures with the commons as rares and collectors. It's just not enough, and sometimes you have to have these kind of sets. It has some nice imports, but overall it wasn't a really high value set at all. Now, in terms of OTS packs, we have 21, 22, and 23. Now, OTS 21 was kind of hype. It had Sprite Blue, Rhinoheart, and Kashtar Fenrir as ultimate rares. It had reprints and holo upgrades for Sprite Red, Merly, and Havness. I thought that was amazing. Also, Kashtar Scareclaw, a second after it was released. Mannequin Cat, Eperly Happiness, and it also had a lot of commons as well that were kind of nice for the game. Now, OTS 22, you know that was my favorite probably. We had Pearl Lily as an ulti, Branded Fusion, and Triple Tactics Thrust. We had Nimble Angler, we had Unchained Abomination, which was really relevant and good. Clear New World, Branded Lost with the Hollow upgrade, Dispelling Happy Memory. It had okay commons with Archfiend Eccentric. It had Emperor Charles, but the commons weren't that amazing. Herald of the Abyss, Branded Red, those were solid. And then we had OTS 23, which was the latest release. Kurikara, Enemy Controller, and Big Welcome as ultis. We had some Labyrinth Furnitures as Hollow upgrades. Preventer and Emergency. DD Crow pulling the rug was actually solid. A lot of TG cards. I think 21 is godly with the sprite stuff, with the tier upgrades. I think everybody loved opening that because you just had a really good chance to pull a Kashira tier elements or a sprite ulti. Those were really, really good cards. 22 was solid. I think it's sort of like here. Branded Fusion. Pearl Lily was ugly, to be honest. I'm sorry, Pearly players. And Thrust. Thrust was kind of awesome. 23, Econ is fine. Kurikara, a bit late. Big Welcome needs to be limited anyway. I think it's like, sort of like decent. Let's move on from there. Photon Hypernova. A set that was extremely impactful. Now, Photon Hypernova did a few things. First of all, and it immediately puts it in a godly position. The Kashira support, a tier 0 deck, basically a tier 0 deck that trumped everything, got obliterated later in the ban list. That was a very, like, you know, when we're talking about the power of the elements releasing tier limits, that's a godly set, because if it has a tier 0 archetype in it, it is just really, really good. But it didn't stop there, because it had Granganule in this set. It had Mirror Jade as a Starlight rare, which is absolutely godly if you ask me. Triple Tactics Thrust, Big Welcome Labyrinth, which was really, really important and good support. Rindburn the Striking Dragon. It had Sargas, the Xyz. It's also a good card. Other than that, nothing major. Trivikarma is really good for tier. But just for the fact that it has a tier 0 deck, a tier 0 staple, and a lot of good branded support, some nice Starlights, and very good value, I think this set definitely has to be godly. Now, the Rarity Collection is something I think the community is a little bit split on. On the one hand, the set kind of dropped the value immediately for a lot of cards. So in terms of value, it does have sort of good value to open it as a person, because you get a lot of really cool staples immediately and a lot of rarities. And the set contents are also amazing. Proud of Prosperity, TDT, Baron, basically every good staple in the game up until like the last year is reprinted there. Two notable things that I think kind of deduct points from this set. One, I'm really annoyed that they didn't include Max C. I understand that they probably didn't include Max C to not confuse new players, and of course Master Duel players that come into the TCG could find themselves, and I think this is why they exclude Max C from a lot of products, to not have a situation where people just bring in Max C to a tournament and get disqualified by it. I think this is the main reason. I'm kind of mad still that they didn't print it, but that's besides the point. I think other than that, some of the new rarities, even though we got new rarities, weren't really implemented so well. I don't think people really like the new ultis or the new collectors. Let me know in the comments below, what do you personally think of them? I think the Rarity Collection, besides all that, has to be godly. Probably here. It is an extremely defining set that happens every once in a while, but like in very large periods of time, like few and far between. That is the expression. Duelist, what was it? Duel Devastators was the last set that was actually solid, as this set was. So yeah, this was the Rarity Collection, definitely a godly set, and this table is becoming a little bit top heavy. Now we're moving on to both Speed Duel products released this year. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these products? I've been asking, because I don't play Speed Duel, I've been asking a lot of my friends, what do they think about it, when, like, my friends that actually play this. Battle CD seemed like kind of a cash grab. And Duelist Shadow didn't have a lot of meta impact. So this is what we kind of decided to put them in. Let me know if this is correct for you, if it's wrong. Both had some nice secret rare printings, which is always something that Speed Duel does well, but in a year where you have a set like Rarity Collection, it kind of outshines it in terms of rarity upgrades. Now we have some structure decks: Trap Tricks, Crimson King, and Fire King. A lot of kings, actually. Now, the Trap Tricks structure deck was actually kind of I think, kind of a lucky move out of Konami, or intentionally kind of good, because this deck was a budget deck that is ready to play out of the box almost like 99%. You could just play it out of the box, to be honest, because it had everything. And this released at a point in time where Koshiro was the best deck, like extremely good. And this deck was just a natural contender that just beat the living hell out of Koshiro. This deck was the best deck going into the best deck, and it was a structure deck. It also had things like Evenly Matched as a super rare, which was nice. But I think as a deck, this is how I like to measure structure decks on. Alba's Strike, for example, was not a playable deck by any means. It wasn't a deck. It was basically just a product that had a few cards that were sort of related in different decks. In what deck do you play Fallen of Albaz and, Omni Dragon Brotar in the same deck? It's not happening. So Trap Tricks, beware of Trap Tricks, is definitely here, in my opinion, like very high good. Crimson King, I think, is simply put bad. Even Vision Resonator cannot carry this deck. No notable good reprints here. The strategy itself is not meta competitive. You could take this to an event. You will not top if you take this structure deck. But another structure deck that does top when you take it to an event is Fire Kings. We saw a huge representation of this in Top Cut. We saw, I think it was 6% Top Cut this deck made in Bologna. The weekend that this deck released, it made 6% of Top Cut of a YCS. And not even with the full support that Phantom Nightmare has. Also, Imperm and Judgment and Droll is commons, very good reprints as well. This structure deck had everything. I think it is definitely a success, definitely a godly structure deck by a lot of means. And then we have the two other deck building sets, which were Valiant Smashers and Wild Survivors. Wild Survivors is going to be going here because besides having Vanquish Soul, which is technically a competitively viable deck, they kind of made a dick move on this set with 7 or 8 Vanquish Soul Ultras. Extremely annoying. I didn't like that move at all. And then just below that, we're probably going to put Valiant Smashers, which I think Centurion is a flop. Don't get me wrong. Again, cash grab, $400 cores for a deck that it made a little bit of Top Cut. The whole strategy is just locking your opponent. I know this personally, but it doesn't mean that it's good or healthy by any means. The other archetypes have potential, I think, but much less than what we saw with Amazing Defenders. In Amazing Defenders, you saw the archetypes and you were like, yeah, I can see the potential. It's like one card away. Maybe Vilmonica. But again, every now and again, this type of set releases and the community doesn't really like them. So I am gonna just keep it here in bad. Those two sets were not good or worth buying at all. Now the pod collection, I think it's gonna be like here-ish. It's nice. It was really like hyped. They were pumping this in YCSs. The figurines are cute. The new rarities are nice, even though again they're mixing OCG prints, and I don't really understand why they're doing it. It was okay. It was a decent product. I think I didn't pick one. It wasn't very cheap, but if you're a collector and you like this type of stuff, it was decent. And lastly, saving the best for last, or actually the worst for last, the Platinum Rare Silver Dark Magician, which was a price increase of $300, making it $1,300 to buy. And it has a limited copy of 1,000 printings, and it's not sold out yet, which is great, because this is a crappy product that costs way much that it should, with no actual guarantee that it will not be reprinted again. This is the bottom line, that the Konami, they don't even say this is a one-time product and we'll never print it again. Even the Blue Eyes one, which sold for $1,000 and kind of like increased in value, they really didn't attach any guarantee to it. So yeah, as the trucks are moving outside my window and making a lot of noise as I'm doing this tier list, this is it. This is my 2023. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment, and don't forget to participate in the giveaway. Like the video, subscribe to participate, and of course comment below what is your favorite product of 2023. Let's not run this too long. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.